that's a great question, because I think I came into, or I was interested in ancestral healing because I don't have many connections with my like living family. And so I realized that like I'm close really only with my mum and my sister, and my mum's family, like living family, obviously like actual experienced family or whatever, like she is quite derogatory about them. Like she's like, oh, I just feel like I was born into the wrong family, like, and they are a bit odd. And so I kind of always felt really detached and therefore quite alone. And so I think that's why coming into the ancestral work, I was like, oh, I'm never alone. Like I am supported. And I think I always felt like spiritual stuff or ancestral stuff was reserved for like this special elite members club that I would not really be part of, but really wanted to be part of. And actually through this, I realized like, oh no, I'm already in the club. I'm already a member just by virtue of being a living human being.
Yeah, a spirit in meat suit, like
yeah. So I think like it sounds kind of silly, but like I kind of really felt that for the first time in this program, I think, and also a lot more somehow compassion for myself and the lineage. Like I didn't really have any connection to the lineage before at this, I guess, but it was almost like I somehow approached it with blame initially, and then it was like, oh no. I kind of felt hard done by life, I think. And it was like, why am I a victim of life? Like, why would I choose the life? Like, it's so fucking pointless. It's just like, if the human experience is just survival mechanisms and suffering, what's the point? There is just no point to any of this. And then like, I mean, it's still taking some time. I still have flashes of that. But
no, listen, humaning is a thing.
What the hell? Yeah. But like that's softened, and there's more compassion for like the experience of relatives, who even like living relatives, even though I still have no contact with them, and for a fair enough reason, I'm not really interested in reconnecting with them, but like lineage wise, it's helpful, and it brings me more peace, that like in my experience too, rather than kind of holding on to all these blame or slight victimness, or like I'm the black sheep narrative that or like, oh, I'm which somehow also felt like I was elevating myself above them, like to be honest, so it kind of leveled it back out, and humbled me.
It's a dynamic, right? Like we're like, what has happened that isn't serving me, right? That y'all have passed on. Also, what blessings, like I'll never forget that like your very first like deep specific ritual and like information they gave you, and like told you how to do something in a certain way, and like how you see ancestors, and like that's not something you can find on a fucking Instagram ancestral post, like the fuck, like this like multi-dimensional dynamic between us and our ancestors, that we're not giving our power away, nor are we victims, nor are we like, running on autopilot with their stuff, or with their good stuff, or their quote unquote bad stuff. Like we get to be in relationship and choosing to be the face of a lineage that, I mean, you are the chosen one, like you said, like in this particular time, like your dad was like, I'm coming in, and you're like, nope, I'm coming through, and I'm going to be a fierce, amazing, loving, balanced woman. Like, wow. So I hear what you're saying. I think that it's something that I have felt, and I tend to attract people who feel that way, because we do have a unique calling, and it's not to be above or below. It's truly to be in like restoring the relationship of that human physicality and spiritual connection and reverence and understanding and power and healing and but by all means, ancestral healing does not mean that we then go out and like restore like actual relationships with people who we don't want to be connected with, or don't add value to our living lives, or No, that's not what we're saying.
But it also does soften that, you know, if I were to bump into them in this
Yes.
somewhere, or, you know, whatever, there would be much less panic or guarded, you know. It's like, okay, fine, we're meant to bump into one another, so let's just deal, you know, this is fine. And it would feel okay. Whereas before it was like, I can't go back to like the county I was from because I might bump into someone I really don't want to, and then there's going to be a whole thing, you know, there was a whole narrative story around it. And then now it's like, yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's amazing. I'm so glad to hear that, because it's true. Like, we're no longer tiptoeing or like avoiding. We can have compassion and be in our power, like in our beingness and our heart. Yeah.
And it brings also peace, you know, to your own experience, because it's like you realize I was creating that tension and stress around like potentially seeing this person, like, so, yeah, it's like outsourcing the power to them as like, oh, I'm gonna have to react in a, it's just like, no, it just is. They're another human being. They've had their own story, their own narrative, like all the shit. You just happen to be very aware of yours, like now, and that's only because you're doing the work. And maybe they're doing their work, maybe they're not. Like, who really cares? It doesn't really matter. Like, you know,
With my day.
whatever. Like, just,
Okay.
I do miss it though. I wish like it have been longer. Maybe it's my only.
I know.
But I know at some point it does need to end. So good. Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate you. I have so much
Thank
love for you.
Oh, you too.
How you show up, how you move, like, it's admirable, like, honestly. And see you move through these next chapters and embody the things that you really want, and heal this love situation and get that message where you're with a brand new, amazing person. And we want to see pictures of you in Australia.
Yeah.
Yeah. You should, you know, check in with yourself of what you really want, follow your heart, and ask the lineage in your higher self if y'all ready to let go of this. And go for it. The only thing that can happen is you get what you want.
Yeah, that's the problem.